2 minutes ago, something explosive happened in the world of politics and trade. Trump, never one to hold back, just had a full-blown meltdown after Canadian central banker Mark Carney delivered a harsh, no-nonsense response to Trump's latest tariff moves. But this wasn't just another political outburst. This moment was the breaking point of a much bigger storm, one that's been building behind closed doors for months. And now, the whole thing is unraveling fast. The tariffs Trump thought would make America stronger have turned into a boomerang. And it's not just Canada reacting, this mess has reached across the globe. Before we dive into the real reason Carney's reaction shook Trump, and how this tariff backfire is spiraling out of control, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and tap the bell so you never miss the truth behind the headlines. Now let's break this down. At the center of this firestorm is Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. Known for his calm and calculated approach to economics, Carney rarely lashes out in public. But Trump's sudden tariff hike and aggressive public statements finally pushed Carney to respond, and he did it with icy precision. His remarks weren't loud, but they were sharp. He called the tariffs reckless economic nationalism, and said they threatened to destabilize global trade partnerships that have been decades in the making. That was a diplomatic way of saying, Trump is playing with fire, and we all might get burned. Carney's words stung. Trump, who thrives on controlling the narrative, didn't expect someone as respected and careful as Carney to push back. Especially not with the kind of credibility Carney brings to the table. This wasn't a Twitter war with a journalist or a cable news feud. This was a direct hit from someone the world listens to when it comes to economic policy. And Trump? He went ballistic. Behind the scenes, sources say Trump immediately convened a closed-door meeting with his top economic advisors. He was reportedly furious, not just about Carney's statement, but about the fact that major U.S. trading partners like Canada, Japan, and South Korea were starting to coordinate a response. Trump expected compliance. What he got instead was resistance. And not just polite resistance, outright defiance. Countries that once kept quiet are now pushing back, and Carney's reaction just gave them the green light to do it more publicly. But here's where things get worse. The very tariffs Trump put in place to protect American jobs are now doing the opposite. American companies that depend on imported parts or materials, like automakers, tech manufacturers, and even farmers, are facing rising costs. These businesses are cutting staff, delaying projects, and in some cases, moving operations abroad to avoid the economic chaos. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has sounded the alarm multiple times, saying these tariffs are not only hurting international trade but also eating into small business profits across the country. Let's talk about agriculture for a second. American farmers are no strangers to trade wars. Back during Trump's first term, soybean farmers were crushed by Chinese retaliatory tariffs. And now, history's repeating itself. With new tariffs slapped on key exports like wheat, beef, and dairy, American farm shipments are being rejected or rerouted, and competitors like Canada and Brazil are swooping in to take over the markets. Even before Carney spoke out, Canadian agricultural exports had been growing steadily. But now, with America looking unpredictable, global buyers are choosing stable alternatives. It's ironic. The America First approach was supposed to bring manufacturing and agriculture back to the U.S. Instead, it's opening doors for competitors, pushing allies away, and making international buyers second-guess their contracts with American suppliers. Mark Carney's warning wasn't just a clapback, it was a mirror. A reflection of what the rest of the world sees, an America losing credibility in global trade. What's even more striking is how coordinated the global response has become. Within hours of Carney's remarks, key leaders from the EU, Japan, and Australia echoed similar concerns. Not in dramatic language, but in pointed, diplomatic terms that signal unity. One EU trade official even described Trump's tariffs as a destructive echo of failed economic experiments of the past. That's code for, we've seen this before, and it didn't end well. And here's the truth, these leaders aren't just posturing. Behind closed doors, they're signing new deals. Deals that exclude the U.S. entirely. Canada recently finalized a major wheat export agreement with Indonesia, and Japan inked a separate tech manufacturing deal with South Korea that bypasses American supply chains. These aren't just one-off agreements. They're signs that trust in American trade stability is eroding, and fast. Now, let's rewind and look at how Trump got here. After leaving office, Trump has remained a dominant force in the Republican Party. And one of his core campaign promises, again and again, is to use tariffs as weapons. He believes that economic pressure equals political power. But there's a flaw in that logic. Because in a globalized world, no country, especially not the US, can act alone without consequences. In this latest move, Trump proposed a sweeping 60% tariff on Chinese goods and hinted at broad increases for all imports, including from allies like Canada and the EU. His team argued it was necessary to protect American independence. But economists quickly warned that these moves would raise consumer prices, spark inflation, and lead to retaliation. And they were right. Inflation ticked upward. Prices of imported goods shot up. And most importantly, confidence from allies collapsed. And then Carney stepped in. He didn't yell. He didn't insult. He just laid out the facts in a calm, firm tone. And it shook the foundation of Trump's plan. Because unlike political pundits or rival candidates, Carney represents logic. He represents data. And people listen when he speaks. When he says these tariffs could backfire economically and politically, it's not a soundbite, it's a warning backed by numbers. Meanwhile, inside Washington, even Trump's own party is divided. Several GOP senators have expressed concern over how these tariffs are being rolled out without strategy. One senator anonymously told the press, "We're isolating ourselves at a time when we need allies the most." That statement reflects a growing anxiety within the Republican ranks. While Trump's base cheers for bold action, the economic reality is harder to ignore. Wall Street isn't happy either. Markets have reacted negatively to every major tariff announcement. The Dow drops. The tech sector shudders. And businesses are stuck in limbo, unsure how to price their products or source their materials. CEOs are calling for clarity. Instead, they're getting chaos. And Carney's message? It just gave those businesses a voice. A voice to say, this isn't working. One of the most brutal ironies in all of this is that China, yes, China, is gaining ground. With US tariffs pushing away partners, China is stepping in with softer trade offers, flexible terms, and fast logistics. Countries like Brazil, Indonesia, and even parts of Africa are signing on. China is smart, they're watching the US alienate itself and using that vacuum to expand influence. Trump's tariff strategy, in theory, was supposed to protect. But in reality, it's isolating the US, weakening alliances, and strengthening rivals. Carney simply pointed out the obvious, and Trump couldn't handle it. Now let's zoom in on why this reaction matters. Trump doesn't like being questioned, especially by figures of authority who aren't part of the political circus. Carney represents an outside threat, not from the left or right, but from the world of respected, rational economic leadership. That's why his words stung more than any political ad or media critique. Trump's tantrum wasn't just about tariffs. It was about losing control of the narrative. And when someone like Carney calls out the flaws in your plan, it forces others to look more closely. Suddenly, Republican lawmakers are reconsidering. Business leaders are hesitating. And international allies are organizing. There's another layer too, voters. As the election season heats up, Americans are paying attention to their wallets. Rising prices, disappearing jobs, and trade uncertainty aren't just talking points, they're lived experiences. And while Trump supporters might cheer his tough rhetoric, working-class Americans are starting to feel the real impact of these policies. They're asking, is this making life better or harder? And more importantly, who's really winning from all this? Trump's strategy, at its core, depends on distraction. Loud headlines. Big promises. Quick blame. But Carney's method is different. It's steady. Calm. Rooted in facts. And that contrast is hard to ignore. In the end, Carney's message wasn't just a personal jab, it was a wake-up call. A reminder that in today's world, no nation can succeed by going it alone. And when a respected global leader like Mark Carney calls out America's direction, the world listens. Trump may have gone nuts after hearing it. But the rest of us? We should be paying very close attention. Because this isn't just about one tariff, or one outburst, or one bad headline. This is about where America goes next, and whether it will lead with wisdom, or spiral further into chaos. So what do you think? Has Trump finally gone too far with these tariffs? Or is this all part of a bigger strategy we're just not seeing yet? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it eye-opening.